Hey everyone, it's Kaycienikole, and today we're going to go through a little bit of a forearm flow. So think some strength building into the shoulders, into the core, with some fun forearm movements, transitions, and postures to play with in your practice. Now, you shouldn't need any props today, but if you want to have anything just for added value, go for it. We're going to start right in a seated position. So find yourself in a cross-legged seat. Close your eyes. Lift the spine up nice and tall. Let the shoulders relax down away from the ears. And we're just going to take a couple grounding breaths together to settle into our bodies and to feel a little bit more connected. So go ahead and exhale. Let everything out. And then through the nose, start to breathe in. Let the belly expand. Let the rib cage expand. Feel it open all the way up into your lungs, your chest, your upper back. And then open up the mouth and exhale. Let everything go. Again, slow breath through the nose, filling up, expanding out, drawing the breath from the bottom to the top, holding at the very top. And then open up the mouth and let it out. Okay, one more together, keeping the breath through the nose the whole way through. Slow inhale, expand, open, fill all the way up, holding it here just briefly. And then through the nose, slowly melt the breath back out from top to bottom. And then relax your breath in and out of your nose. And coming into your Ujjayi breath, that victorious breath. The breath is slightly constricted down the back of the throat. Still breathing in and out of the nose, giving the breath that audible ocean wave sound. Okay. Go ahead and gently blink open through the eyes. Try to maintain the breath through the entirety of the practice if possible. We're going to warm up a little bit through the forearms. So let's take the hands out in front and open up the hands and fingers nice and wide. We're going to go through what is called hot chicken. Okay. And in hot chicken, we're going to basically open our hands really wide, and then we're going to bring our thumb to touch the tip of each finger separately. But each time we touch the finger, we're going to give a little squeeze, and then we're going to open all the fingers up as wide as we can again. So we go into a closure and then a full opening. We kind of bounce back. Okay. And we're going to start to feel the forearms get on fire. So arms forward, open up the palms, open up the fingers as wide as you can, and then bring the thumb and the pointer finger to touch, squeeze, open them back up. Pointer finger, middle finger, open up, and then to the ring finger, and then to the pinky, and then continue on your own, going from index to middle to ring to pinky as fast as you can while still closing fully and opening fully. So make sure you get that snap back into that opening after you've brought the thumb to the tip of the finger. Continue here. You should be feeling a little bit of fire in those forearms. All the way up the arms. Keep them out in front of you for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Go ahead and shake it out. Oh my goodness. Flop the wrists over. Bring them up towards the armpits as high up there as you can, and then just let the elbows drop heavy, getting a nice stretch into the wrists. And then go ahead and release. Shake it all out. We're going to open up into the shoulders a little bit here. So interlace the fingers, palms flip down. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up over your head. As you reach up, draw up through the palms. Lift the shoulder blades first up towards the ears so you feel a little bit of that muscle activation underneath the scapula. And then relax the shoulders just a little bit. Let's do that again. Inhale, lift the shoulder blades up. And then exhale, melt the shoulders down. Bend the elbows, pull them back as you release the hands, and scraping the arms all the way down to your sides. Go ahead and roll the shoulders forward and up. And exhale, roll them all the way back and down. We're going to do a quick little opening into our hamstrings. And that way, when we get into the position we're going to get into, you have a little bit more access and space through the backside of the body. Let's take the right leg long. And as you extend it out in front of you, bring the left foot to the inner right thigh. Janu Shirshasana. Hands are going to frame your right leg, lifting up through the chest. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, you're going to tip at your pelvis as you slowly walk the hands down the length of the leg, just as much as it feels good for you at this moment. Maybe you only hinge a little. Maybe you hinge a lot. Maybe you stay more upright and just focus on lifting the spine. You should be leading the motion with your pelvis, not just rounding your back. Extend it out. Any little movements that feel good for you here, you can go ahead and take them. Just a couple more breaths. And then inhale, come all the way up. Extend your left leg out. Give your legs a nice little shake. And then we'll do the other side. We're going to keep our left leg long. Bend your right knee and bring the foot to the inner thigh. Spine up tall. Hands to either side of the extended leg. Lifting up through the chest on an inhale. Keep the spine long. Tip at the pelvis. Exhale, start to tip yourself forward over the leg. And once again, just take it to your edge. Doesn't matter where that's at. If you want some movement, add a little bit of that dynamic movement to ease into your body a little bit more. Let's take one more breath here. And then slowly come all the way back up. Stretch both legs long. Give them a nice little shake. Okay, sweep the legs around. Let's come on to hands and knees for tabletop position. Okay, so from tabletop position, we're going to focus on a very specific kind of motion. As you stack your shoulders over your wrists, I want you to kind of notice how you can spin the inner elbows forward, but you can kind of relax them so they face each other. I want you to just kind of play with the way that you can rotate through your forearms, but this is actually happening up into the shoulders as well. Okay, so what I want you to do is roll the inner elbows towards each other and then try to spin them forward as much as you can. And I want you to think even more than the inner elbow. Think about your armpits as though you could get your armpits to spin in and face each other. Okay. So what's happening is you're actually creating an external rotation of the upper arm in the shoulder. Okay. So that's what we want. We want to imagine spinning the armpits in and the inner elbows kind of start to shift more forward. Now through this, we're going to slowly start to bend the elbows. And as you bend the elbows, you're going to bend them back and all the way down to the ground. Okay. Just by exaggerating that external rotation, we're going to allow that bending to slowly lower us all the way to the ground. Now, if there's a little bit of fall time there, you can lower down one at a time, but we're going to do that a couple more times here. So from your forearms, go ahead and press back up into your tabletop position. Spin the inner elbows forward, armpits roll in. Keep that. Continue to accentuate that sensation and that rotation. As you start to bend the elbows back, keep spinning the armpits in, and with control, try to lower your elbows to the ground. Try to lower them at the same time if possible, otherwise one at a time is okay. Coming back up, we're going to do that one more time. So notice that there's a drawing back as you lower down, okay? We need to lower back the whole length of the forearm. So spin the armpits in, keep them engaged as you slowly start to bend the elbows and lower the elbows all the way back and down to the ground. Nice. Now walk the forearms forward. If they're back a little bit, you can walk the knees back, and we're going to come down into a Sphinx pose. Now in Sphinx pose, try to get the elbows to stack directly underneath the shoulders. And we're going to do a little bit of core activation here. So from this position, take a deep breath in, feel the lifting of your heart. Keep the knees on the ground. We're going to create like a rainbow arc with our body from our shoulders all the way down towards our knees. So breath in, and then exhale. You're going to press through the forearms, peel the hips off the ground, keep the knees on the ground, but you're going to hollow out underneath you, rounding through your back. And then dropping the hips, inhale, scoop the heart forward and up, come back into that little back bend. And then exhale, press, round and curl. Inhale, drop the hips, scoop the heart forward and up. And then exhale, press, round and curl. And then inhale, come back up. Open up the elbows and lower down. Let's take the hands underneath the shoulders, press back into a tabletop position, and just a very brief child's pose. Sink the hips towards the heels, relax the spine, relax the arms here. Take one more breath. If it feels better, you can also drop your arms down to your sides. Okay, let's come forward, tabletop position. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on a very specific transition. From tabletop, walk yourself back just a little bit so you have some space in front of you. And we're going to roll the armpits towards each other again. And as you do, slowly lower the elbows down onto the ground. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a vinyasa, going through a whole chaturanga to lower down onto our bellies. So I'm going to show you first kind of what that's going to look like. I'm going to come up. And as I come up, I'm bringing my shoulders over the wrists. And then I'm going to rainbow my shoulders forward as I bend my elbows and lower my chest all the way down to the ground. Then I'm going to lift up through the heart, cobra or upward dog. And then I'm going to pull back into tabletop position again, roll the armpits in and lower back down onto the elbows. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating this rainbow arc shape with the movements of my body. So let's do this a couple times together, palms down, press into the forearms. Okay, and then from here, I want you to look slightly forward. As you shift your body weight forward, lift the elbows off the ground, shoulders over wrists, and then start to move your shoulders over the wrists as you bend your elbows and rainbow your shoulders all the way down to the ground, trying to get the belly and chest to touch down at the same time. Inhale, lift up through your heart as much as you want. Come into your back bend of choice. And then exhale, tabletop position. Okay. Keep the shoulders stacked over the wrists. Roll the armpits in. And then slowly start to lower the forearms down to the ground. With the forearms down, look forward. Lift the elbows as you come forward, shoulders over wrists. Bring them over and then bend the elbows. Rainbow the heart all the way down to the ground. Find your back bend. Inhale, lift up through your heart. Exhale, pull back hands and knees. Let's do that one more time. Armpits roll in. Lower the forearms down to the ground. Look forward. Pop the elbows up and over the wrists. Coming over as you bend your elbows and lower the chest all the way down. Inhale, lift up to your heart. Find your back bend. And then tabletop position followed by a brief child's pose. Relax in. Okay, that's a lot of work on those arms. Come up to a seated position here for just a moment. Any seat is fine. It's also a lot on the wrists. So let's go ahead and interlace your fingers and just little figure eights here. And then shake out through the hands and wrists. Okay, so what we just did is what we're going to do again, but we're going to do it from a different position, which is going to bring a little bit more activation, engagement, and maybe some more intensity. So if you want to modify it, stick with these, but it's the same exact movement, just done from the knees, and we're going to do it from our toes next. Okay, so natural progression. Stick with where it feels best in your own body. I'm going to show you first. That way you can have a visual representation of what's going on. Then we'll go through it together. I'm going to come to downward dog. And then from downward dog, it's essentially the same thing, except I'm on my feet rather than my knees. I'm going to roll my armpits in, and then I'm going to slowly lower forearms to the ground. Notice now I'm in dolphin pose, okay? Now from dolphin pose, I'm going to look forward, and then I have to kind of push off my feet a little bit. So maybe even leaning back a little bit, and then pop the elbows up as you bring them forward. And then we can take our chaturanga and go through our vinyasa from there. You can lower halfway, or you can lower all the way down to the ground. You can also drop your knees at any point. We're just going to do this 2 times. So make your way to downward dog. Find your positioning. And from downward dog, spin your armpits to face one another. Keep spinning them in. Lower the elbows down to the ground. If that's too much, drop your knees like we did before. Hold here in dolphin, 1 extra breath. Keep pressing down into the elbows and forearms. Looking slightly forward, maybe lean back a little bit to give a little extra push. Lift the elbows up, bring shoulders over wrists, and then start to rock over. Maybe drop the knees, chaturanga, halfway or all the way down. Inhale, lift up through the chest, find your back bend, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Make your way back again. Once again, drop the knees if you prefer that variation. From downward dog, elbows spin forward, armpits spin in. Slowly lower the elbows to the ground. Looking forward, take a breath. Maybe lean back a little bit, and then lift the elbows, bring them over the wrists, come forward, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And then child's pose, sink the hips back, relax, and breathe. So just kind of come up onto your forearms from your child's pose. So you're just propped up a little bit. Take your right hand over your left forearm, and I want you to just kind of squeeze up and down the length of your forearm. Little compressions. And then the other side, left hand cups over your right forearm, and just give it little squeezes up and down the length of that forearm placement. Okay, come to a seat when you're ready. So now this will be the last round that we go through. And through this round, I'm going to give options for walking in a little bit more into your dolphin pose, but also options to lift a leg and give little kicks. Now with this, I want to show you full options because there's a couple things, reminders if you are going to go into the deeper variation. So I'm going to show you real quick. As I come down from downward dog to my forearms, you have the option of staying here, or you have the option of walking the feet in to make it deeper. But remember, if you're going to walk your feet in, you're also going to have to walk them back before we go through the transition of taking the vinyasa, because our feet placement are in the right placement from the beginning. So if we adjust them, we're going to have to adjust them. Okay, keep that in mind. So I walk my feet forward and I try to stack shoulders over the elbows. Then, and try to get the hips over the shoulders as much as you can, looking straight down between the forearms. You can stay here, or I'll give option of lifting right leg. You can stay here, or you can give little hops. If you have forearm balance, you can take your forearm balance. Now, when we come down, you have the option of keeping the leg lifted or bringing it down to the ground. It's your choice. It's whether or not you want to take a 3-legged chaturanga, or if you want chaturanga with both feet down, okay? Now remember, I'm going to keep my leg up this time, but remember, if you adjusted that foot and walked your feet in first, you're going to have to wiggle the opposite foot back, or you're going to have to walk both feet back, depending on if there's one foot down or both. Now, once you've walked it back, whether or not you have a lifted leg or not, it's the same thing. Look forward, popping forward and up, take your chaturanga, and flow from there. So I'm going to give the options for all of it, for lifting a leg, for hopping, taking the forearm balance, and whether or not you want to keep the leg up or if you want to bring it down before we take that vinyasa transition on both sides, okay? Entirely up to you. Or if you're like, hey, that's all too much, do it from your hands and knees. Perfectly fine. You could even do it from your hands and knees. And when you lower down, you can lift a leg from here too. and focus on that transition. So there are ways of intensifying or adding different variation into all of these. So please make it your own. Let's get this heat moving. So downward facing dog, if you're taking that variation, that's what I'll be guiding through, but you know that you have the option of coming to the knees. Okay, from downward dog, armpits roll in, slowly lower the forearms to the ground. Now, stay here or walk the feet in closer. If you walk the feet in closer, keep in mind how much closer you're walking them in so you can walk them back later. Now, from here, look down between the forearms, right leg lifts up. Stay here, come up onto the left toes, or give little hops, maybe forearm balance. Then left foot touches down, right leg stays up, or bring it to the ground if you need to. Maybe wiggle your foot back if you need a little more space. Look forward, pop the elbows up, come forward, chaturanga. Upward dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. From here, armpits roll in. Try as best as you can to lower the elbows down at the same time. Walking the feet in as much as you'd like. Maybe the left leg up. Stay here. Maybe come up onto the right toes. Maybe give little kicks. Right toes down. Maybe bring the left foot down. You can wiggle the feet back if needed. Look forward. Lift the elbows. Come forward, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. And then downward dog to child's pose. Sink in. Relax. Breathe. Take a deep inhale. And then open up your mouth and let it go. Do that as many times as you'd like. Try to release some of that excess energy and heat. Few more breaths. Arms can stay forward. Maybe you drop them back by your feet. Slowly come back up into tabletop position. Sweep the legs around. Find your way into a nice seat. We're going to use this as our grounding. If you prefer Shavasana for a moment, take Shavasana. There's no Shavasana included today, just we want to keep it short and concise. So take it if you'd like, hit pause. Otherwise, just a few grounding breaths from the seated position of your choosing. Spine lifts. Relax your breath out. Slow breath in. Try to really slow it down. Expand it out. Lift it high. Hold it. And all that tension you might feel, all that energy, open up your mouth and let it go. Again, slow breath in. When you reach the top, open up your mouth and slowly exhale it all the way out. Now through the nose, slow inhale. Keep the breath through the nose, slow exhale. Take 2 more of those in and out of the nose, nice and slowly on your own. And then gently blink open through your eyes. Take your arms, open them up nice and wide, and then hug them across the body, one arm over the top. And then open up the arms, and then opposite arm on top. Now, next one, inhale, open up the arms and chest, sit bones draw back. And then exhale, opposite arm on top, curl your spine and round. Inhale, open, extend. Exhale, opposite arm on top, round and curl. Take a few more on your own. One more full round, both sides. Slowly come up to neutral when you're done. Hands to your lap. Roll the shoulders forward and up. And exhale, roll them all the way back and down. Close your eyes for a moment, hands at your heart center. Thank your bodies for all that they do for you, all that they just did in this practice, all that they do for us day in and day out. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide. So much gratitude. Thank you, thank you. Open up your eyes when you're ready. Whew. So that was a little heat builder right there. So hopefully the shoulders are feeling nice and strong. We got some more integrated movement, having a little playtime on our mats. I would love to hear your feedback, how you enjoyed it, and looking forward to practicing with you again soon. Thank you.